Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. We're going to do a new expansion set today. It's called German Operations, and this is for the game Global War 1936 to 1945. Now this one isn't brand new, but I haven't done many expansion sets lately. I just started recently, did another one, and I'm going to try to catch up on the ones that I've missed. But I've been busy doing other things, right? It was summertime and plus doing other things involved with the game as well. So anyway, this one I just downloaded it about a week ago and printed it off. I hadn't I scanned over it before, but didn't really take a really critical look at it. So when I did, I thought, wow, this one's actually really good. Some of them are better than others, right? And I really like this one. It seems to be a pretty powerful one, though. I did talk to the guy just before I started making this video, the guy that made this one, and he is also got two other ones that he's already submitted. One of them is called Russian Operations, and so it's going to balance this one out. So bear in mind, if you're going to play this one, maybe don't play it unlimited. Like you'll see as we go through the rules, you could do something every single turn with these guys, right? With this new set, maybe just limit it to a few sets, and you'll see why. We'll talk about it as we get into it. But anyway, like I said, I just talked to the guy. Let's just flip this over here. So this is him here. This is Bob Hatcher. Now I had the pleasure of meeting Bob down in Tulsa. He is from Texas. He's a retired colonel from the American military. Excellent guy. He's a kindred spirit as far as little plastic army men go, it seems as well. Like he totally gets into this stuff, right? And he loves making these expansion sets. I just did the diplomacy expansion set. That was his as well. And you might have seen the most recent ones called East West. That's one of his as well, and he's been involved in other ones and involved with the development of the game, so I'm not surprised that this one turned out pretty good job there, Bob. Anyway, let's just take a look at what you get here. So this is the units that you're going to get with the game. You're not going to get the cup. That was something that Doug gave all of us. They gave our cups with our name on it, right, when we were down play testing. But anyway, you're going to get these chips here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chips, and what you do is you put these chips into a cup and then you draw them out, kind of like the American Minorities at War set, where you draw one out and say, hey, I got this one. And also with this set, you're going to get 5 partisans, just because like you use your normal units that you have with your game, right, for the most part in this set, but there are a few of the operations that use partisans. So in case you didn't have the partisans expansion set, you could still do this set because they give you the partisans to do it with, right? So yeah, like I said, what you do is you just take these things and you put them in the cup, and then you draw them out one at a time, and so we pull one out. And it is, I can't even pronounce these. So anyway, we'll go through them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set each one of them up and break this video up into a whole bunch of tiny little videos and stitch them together, rather than you watching me fumble around trying to move this around and that around. Okay, so we'll get to the next page as soon as I come back. Okay, so we're going to start the first one here. Now, as I said, you pull the token out of the cup. So this is the first token, Kriegsmarine. I'll just go through them in the order that they are, but that doesn't mean you're going to pull them out in that order, right? So what you would have to do is pay 15 IPP during the production phase, and then you draw that roundel out, right? So then when you get that roundel, like this one is Kriegsmarine, then you see what plans are available there. And for this particular roundel, there are 2 plans that are available, right? And they provide, I think most of them, if not all of them, provide units for you. So you would place those units right away. like at the start of your turn, you're already in your production phase, you would put these units on right now. You wouldn't wait till the end of your turn, because obviously you're going to use them for the plan that you're doing this turn, right? And as I was saying before, you might want to limit this because of how powerful it is, because you can do this every single turn. You can pay 15 IPP and do this every turn. But the thing is, the amount of units that you get and the benefit that you get from them is going to be greater than 15 IPP. So that's why I say it's powerful, and why you might want to limit it until you get the Russian war plans in your hands. And I don't know when Doug's going to put that one out. But when he does, then, then there's also a Japanese one, Bob tells me. And then he's going to start working on something else for the Western Allies, so that they will have their operations as well. And that will balance them all, like if you play them all at once, or if you just played one against the other, like the German and the Russian one, or say a Japanese and an American one. Those would balance each other out. But anyway, so every round beginning in January of 1938. So that's the first time that you can implement this plan, in January 1938. So you pull the thing out of the cup, and then you decide which one you want, and you would place the units on. Now, as you'll see as we go through these, there are certain conditions that have to be met for you to do that. Like, you can't just implement any plan that there is, right? Like, you have to be at war with like Russia, if it's against Russia, for instance, or the ability to declare war on Russia, or the ability to put units where it tells you to put units, or whatever. Like, you have to have the ability to do this. If you don't have the ability to do this, then you can't use it this round. It says here, if geopolitical conditions necessary for the plan are present, the plan must be used this round. It's a directive. Failure to use that plan means that you just lose it. So basically, you lost your 15 IPP. So if you can do the plan, then you have to do it. But if you can't do it, then you would just put the roundel back in the cup and grab another roundel. But you could also, like I was saying earlier about the Russians, if you needed to be at war with the Russians in order to enact that plan, you can say, okay, I'm going to declare war on the Russians, and you can go ahead with that plan. But if there's no ability at all for you to use that roundel that turn, then you get to put it back and get another one. So you got that? If you can do it and you don't do it, then you just lose your 15 IPP. And the advantages and restrictions remain in effect just for this turn. So let's say we're in January of 1940 right now, and we've drawn the Kriegsmarine roundel, and then we go ahead and we look at what's available to us. Then whatever advantage we have, it's only for that round. We would keep the units after that, but I mean, like if you're +1 attack, or you get to move 6 spaces or whatever, that's only for this turn, or for the turn that you drew the roundel and implemented that plan. So there's 2 plans here. There's surface raids. So what it is you provide 2 destroyers at any naval base owned by Germany. So I've got 2 destroyers right here, okay? And then you may move undetected through enemy occupied sea zones, and then any number of naval units joining the same task force may move together up to 6 spaces, may move after combat up to the remaining spaces. So that's pretty good. You get to go, like, you could put them here with the rest of your Navy, right? And you could move 6 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could move all those guys all the way down to here, right? If you wanted to, yeah, undetected, like they wouldn't be able to stop you. And then it says, once you get there, you may only engage fleets of smaller strength. And that only counts the surface combat ships. That's not counting the subs or transports, okay? So you would need 3 ships to attack 2 surface ships, right? And then you could do that. So that gives you the option, okay? So let's do that. Let's say we put the 2 destroyers here, and we decide to take the light cruiser, and you don't have to worry about what people's or what the units distance they go. Like you can go any number of distance. Like this normally would only go one space, but with this plan you get to go 6 spaces, right? So let me just set this down. So there you go. You went 6 spaces, and you've got more units than these 2 ships here. Like these guys aren't involved in that. Those are Spanish nationalists, and they wouldn't be there anyway. Like this is the opening setup that I have set up on my board here, right? So you kind of got to ignore all the other units on the board. So anyway, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ships, and they've got 2 ships. So you could attack that. Now that's one thing that you could do. The other thing you could do with the surface plan here is, instead of doing that, and also you don't have to keep those ships together. You could move them. Like you could have put them in this space here, like I said, and come out and attack those guys and attack these guys. Well, you wouldn't have been able to attack that guy because you didn't have any combat air patrol, right? But anyway, like you could have attacked these guys and these guys. You could have attacked this guy. You could have split them up if you wanted to. The other thing you can do instead, you can't do both of these things, but let's say you also did that, right? So you could attack, or you could reduce the convoy lines. So you could put this guy here. You could put this guy here. Remember, again, you can only go 6 spaces. Or, you know, like you wouldn't have had to take them. Like, I don't think that would be a good idea to take them out and do that. But let's just say you just took your 2 destroyers, right? So you can reduce the convoy lines to 0, whatever's on that convoy line. So let's just take a look here. So 5 here. So you just took 5 off of the British if you went to there. Now, you could have gone to here, but this line isn't worth anything, so there's no point, right? So instead of attacking somebody, you could do that. Here, let's just go down to the other side of the board, because I can't read the convoy lines from up there. So the other thing, you know, like then you split off and you go with this guy, and you look at him, and so he can do this convoy line. This one's worth 6 to the UK. This one here is worth 3 to the UK. And then, this one here doesn't have any number on it. I thought that this one went all the way through. But anyway, that's about the best you could do from there, right? Is reduce all the convoy lines that you could reach from there. Like if you had, if the game had advanced and this was your port here, I mean, you could have put your destroyers here and you could have probably reached more convoy lines from there, right? But because we're at the start of the game here and that's where the German port was, and that's all I could reach. And even if, yeah, I think, oh no, actually, you know what, if you put them there, then you could have gotten 6 off them. But anyway, you can see that would be pretty valuable too, because you're taking a lot of money off them, right? See, like you could have put them here as well, right? That would have given you 1 space further. So you could have put one destroyer in here instead, and that's worth 6 instead of that one over there that's worth 3. But then you would have missed this one that's worth 6. But I guess then you could have put this. No, you wouldn't have wanted the destroyer in there. Anyway, you can see, like you can move them around, you can put them together, you can leave them apart. So that's one of the war plans, right? Involved with the Kriegsmarine. And then the other one is Unterseeboot. You gotta forgive me. I'm not very good at pronouncing German names unless I've heard them before, okay? And basically what that is submarines, right? So this is about the happy time in 1940-41 in the North Atlantic and North Sea. It was known as the happy time when German U-boats were basically sinking ships at will, right? So what you get is 4 submarines. You can put them at any naval or submarine base owned by Germany. And again, they can move undetected through the water, just like those destroyers that I just showed you, right? And you can have any number of submarines join them and move together up to 6 spaces. and then they can move after combat. I forgot about that part. Like when we were going 6 spaces, like you could have gone in here, right, and moved. You could have moved 1, 2, and attacked all of these guys here, and then went 3, 4 back into there, right? Like it's kind of like a plane, right? So you get to move 6 spaces even if you've attacked somebody. Anyway, so you're taking 4 submarines here, and I've got these 4 submarines right here, right? So you could put them at any naval base or submarine base, and then you could combine them like you did with the other ones, and then it's the same thing, right? You could engage in fleets of smaller strength. This one is including submarines, but it still excludes transports. So you could attack any smaller fleet. So you've got 4 subs. You could pick up that sub, make it 5 subs. And these two groups of ships here are still at 5 ships, so that's too big. I suppose you could bring this ship in, though, this sub here. That would make it 6 subs. So you could put 6 subs in here and attack that, and then still have the the non-combat movement that you get with this plan, right? But it's the same thing as the other one in that, like, you could have taken those subs and moved them instead of attacking a fleet of smaller strength. You could spread these submarines out, and you could attack convoy lines. So you would reduce this one here to 0, reduce this one to 0, reduce that one to 0, and there you go. Like you've just taken a pile of money off them again. So that's Kriegsmarine. We'll get to the next one. Okay, the next roundel is good luck with that one. Oberb, Feldschlaber, West, and that word's going to come up 3 times because the next 3 roundels are about that. This one is west, though. So this is something that is going to go west of Germany here, right? And there's a number of things that can happen here. So this is the first one right here, these units down here. And this is the token right there. So if you draw on that one, there's a number of things that you could possibly do. So one of them is Fall Richard. Contingency planning for Soviet communist takeover in Spain. Must attack communists or allied occupying Spain, and only available if France has fallen. So units may be placed in any location closest to Spain. So probably if you've taken France, this is probably where you would be putting them. Here, let me just move that camera over. So probably you would be putting them here in Gasconia, is it called now? So and that's these units down here, right? There's a light tank, 2 infantry, and a tactical bomber. You would get those units, and that would be if the Republicans won the Spanish Civil War, or if it's later in the game, for instance, and like the Allies have occupied it. Like Americans decided to land in Spain or whatever to attack the nationalists, or if Germany had won the war down there and then were taken over by the Americans and the British, then you could attack that as well. But it's not for getting involved in a civil war. It's for attacking those units in there. So you get the light tank, 2 infantry, and a tactical bomber, and it's a surprise attack. So the defender rolls a -1 in defense. So that's one of them. Another one. Let's move the camera over this way. This one is the Sea Lion one. It's Operation Sea Lion, which was the code name for attacking the UK, like a land invasion of the UK, right? So the units that you get are 3 destroyers with 3 infantry, and you can see where they are right here, right? There was a number of different elements to this attack. So the Eagle attack was to destroy the RAF prior to the invasion. So preceded by attacks on shipping known as, I can't pronounce that word. So you provide one for all your fighters when you're attacking, when you're doing a sea line against England. So all your fighters are +1. Then the Operation Icarus was to invade Iceland. So you get 1 destroyer which may transport an infantry this round only. So there you go. Like he can drop this infantry down on here, and that would become German, right? And then Fall Grun was the invasion of Ireland. So one destroyer which may transport an infantry this round only. So there you go. This guy's attacking Ireland. Now you could bring transports and stuff as well, right? Because this is 2 against a 2, so not a very good attack. But you could bring other stuff in there. So Herb Strice was the diversionary invasion of Scotland. So again, one destroyer transporting one infantry this round only. So you would take Scotland. Yeah, and again, you could bring more in if you wanted. So that's another one of the plans that you could do, is the Sea Lion attack. Then there's Operation Attila. So that's the occupation of Vichy France. Now, let me just show you here. Like, this is obviously when Germany has taken over all of France here, and they've established a Vichy government here in southern France, right? So this would be Vichy French and not free French, and they would be neutral, right? Like normally you wouldn't be able to attack them. Well, you could, but the problem with attacking them is that all the other units or in all the other spaces on the board that you rolled, like all the other French spaces you rolled, they either went Free French or Vichy French, right? All those would go back to the Free French if you were to attack Vichy France, or if you were to attack any Vichy territory that had rolled Vichy when you established the Vichy government, right? So this makes it a little bit different though. Like, that's still going to happen, but let me just read to you here what it says. I can't really put my camera down over there because of all these units that are in the way. Let me just put it over here. There we go. Okay, so so the units that you get a medium tank and a mechanized infantry. Now, you wouldn't have to just use the medium tank and the mechanized infantry. You would use whatever units you could as well, right? And you would attack southern France. And then you must attack Vichy France. So and it says any other units may join attack. So you get +1 attack for all units when you do it. And then once you've taken them out, this is the kicker here, is that you roll for the French fleet after capturing that territory. So kind of like you rolled for the fleet when you established the Vichy government. So this provides that bonus. Other than giving you a tank and a mechanized infantry, it gives you the opportunity to get some of those French ships, right? So when you did roll, if a lot of them became Free French ships a lot of them became Vichy French ships, like maybe the battleship became Vichy and stuff like that. This gives you an opportunity to get those, right? So if you rolled a 1 to 3, they would join the Allies, like the Free French. 4 to 6 would be scuttled, and then 7 to 12 they would join the Germans. So you've got a 50-50 chance of stealing those ships from the Vichy, right? And then it doesn't say, but I would assume that all other Vichy territories would become Free French. But really, I mean, there's not a lot of units on those. The big prize would be those ships, right? Because there could be a lot of Vichy ships in there. But when you're deciding to do that, it would depend on, how much territory did the Vichy get when you rolled, right? Do they have a lot of money? Because you would be giving that money to the Free French after that, right? So that one is one of those ones where, that's not a given that you would do that one, right? Like it's an opportunity if the Vichy had a lot of ships and didn't have a lot of territory that was worth something, right? Because a lot of the French territory isn't worth anything, at least as far as IPP value, I mean. So another one was another plan was the intent to destroy Coventry's factories and industrial infrastructure. So they modified a bunch of Henkels to destroy factories and ground units in Coventry, right? So you get 1 fighter and 1 medium bomber. Now we're talking about England over here again, right? So let's get rid of these guys. That was a different one. You don't get all of them. So you would get a fighter and a medium bomber here. And what do those guys do? You place them at the Axis airfield closest to the UK. So that's probably going to be this one. There's an airfield in this territory here. I haven't placed my airfields on the board yet, and my naval bases and stuff like that. But they're printed on the map. You just can't see it because there it is. It's right down there. So this is probably going to be the closest one, and that's where you would put your fighter and your medium bomber, right? And then you roll +1 attack at strategic bombing or ground attack in the UK. So you could either attack the ground units or you could attack the factories anywhere in the UK and get +1 doing that. And then there's Operation Tannenbaum. That's another one. You could attack Switzerland with any available land units at a +1 attack. Success shocks the financial world. Great Britain and Free French, or French Free French, lose half their income, rounded down this turn only. So you don't get any units on this one, but what you do get is you get a +1 attack trying to take out Switzerland, right? And that's a good territory to have. Plus you're going against mountain infantry, so having that +1 is pretty handy. The benefit, of course, is that you're reducing these guys' income and these guys' income to half for that turn, right? So if the British income is up at 33, then half of that would be 16 because you're rounding down, right? Not 16 and a half and not 17, it would be 16. So the British would only get 16 bucks this turn, and the French, if they were at 9, then they would only get 4. So that would be the kicker for that one. And then the last plan that you could do is Walk Dam Rhine. And that was a counteroffensive in the Ardennes. So you attack any location, Allied occupied location in France. So that's probably after you've defeated France, and then the Americans and the British were coming back and taking France. Or perhaps it was like that game that I had this summer where the Germans completely concentrated on attacking the French, and so the Russians over here, and the French never lost any territory. So it would be the Allied occupied France that you would attack, right? And it says Greif is an infiltration using troops disguised in Allied uniforms. So 3 German partisans are placed in any location in Allied occupied France. And then also you get an airborne drop in support of this plan. You place 1 paratrooper without interception in any adjacent Allied territory. And then you get a Luftwaffe support rate on Allied air bases. So all aircraft are +1 attack on Allied air bases. So you would take 3, where are we here? You would take 3 of these guys. Let's say you put them here, right? These guys come off. Now this was that last plan there. So you put say 3 in here. You could be in any territory that's Allied occupied, and then in an adjacent territory you could put. So let's say this guy wasn't here. Let's say that was empty, right? Then this guy you could put here and take that out. Or if he was there, you could put him there and then attack him. But I mean that would be tough because he attacks at 2 and this guy defends at 4, right? So that's up to you. Like the stars would have to line up for that plan as well, right? And it does for all the plans. Like you have to decide which one is better for you. Like in the Kriegsmarine one, both of those were really similar. One was surface ships and one was submarines. But these other plans, a lot of them are completely different. Anyway, I'll just set up the next round. Okay, the next token is you see here is Oberschlaber Ost, which is the invasion of the Soviet Union. And there's 4 different scenarios on this one here that you could choose from. And so if you weren't at war with the Soviet Union, but you were close enough that you could attack them, then you could still decide to attack the Soviet Union or not, or get a different token, right? Like if you're not at war with the Soviet Union, then you don't have to do that. You can draw a different token. But if you were at war with the Soviet Union, then you have to use it or lose it, right? But this one's pretty good. I mean, it gives you lots of stuff here. So the first one is Luchsfein. So it was a combined German and Finnish attack against Karelia or Murmansk. But you must attack from Finland. So obviously, in order to do this one here, you would have to have taken Finland already, right? Like you already own Finland. So then what you do would be you place your units in Finland, and what they are is 1 light tank, 1 artillery, and 3 infantry. And then you attack Karelia. Where's Murmansk? I think this one was Murmansk, wasn't it? The names have changed, right? Like this is the prototype version 3 map. So you would attack one of these 2 territories here with them. So you could put the guys here, or you could put them here, like anywhere in Finland, right? And you get +1 attack on attacks against Russia this round. So if you choose this, then you get to attack all of Russia at +1 this round, not just this place here. Next one is Case Blue. So that was in the south, like you were attacking towards the Caucasus. So you must attack towards the Caucasus, wherever you put your stuff. Now, what I did was I put it right over here, okay? I didn't know, like, it just depends, like this is a Russian territory. But let's assume that this was a German territory. Could be this one. If it was this one, then you would attack down this way. But what you would get there is 1 tank, 1 mechanized, 1 artillery, and 2 infantry. And again, +1 on all attacks this round against Russia. But you would have to put these guys on the front somewhere and attack towards the south when you do it, okay? Then the next one is a word that I can't pronounce, but it is translated as fire magic. I can pronounce that one. So that was the planned capture of Leningrad. So you get 5 infantry and 1 artillery. The units must be placed in Lubelsky or within 2 territories adjacent to it and attack towards Leningrad or territories nearby. So that I put these guys in Lubelsky here. And again, like this is the opening setup, so it's still Polish, right? But like 2 territories, like it could be that you own this one, so you could put them there and attack Leningrad, right? Wherever, like it could be this one and then attack towards Leningrad. But these guys have to go north, and again, these guys had to go south. And then these guys are Finnish, right? Or are coming from Finland. Now there is one where you can just attack anywhere, and that's this last one, which is Unternehmen Zitadeli, I'm gonna say. So it had the objective of pinching off the Kursk salient with attacks on the base of the salient from north and south simultaneously. So what you would do then, you place your units in forward German location on east front. Now it says units are placed in forward location on eastern front. I kind of take that to mean that could be more than one different place, right? Like that you didn't have to put all the units that you get in one place. But you can argue about that with your friends. That'll be a good one. Take it outside. You must attack a Soviet location, and here's the units it provides. You can have 2 choices. So it says you could have 3 heavy tanks, so those are the Tigers, or 4 medium tanks. So if you're going to take the 3 heavy tanks, they have to be available. In other words, you had to have developed heavy armor before this turn started. Or I suppose you could develop heavy armor because you're on your production phase, right? If you only had 1 square left to go, you could try rolling it and say, yay, and then, okay, I'm going to play this plan, and I'm going to take the 3. But I mean, both of these are good, regardless of what they are. You know, like you could get 3 heavy tanks or 4 medium tanks, right? So I'd take either one. But this one here does not say, this one and the last one does not say that you get +1 on all attacks against Russia. So the first 2 you did, the one from Finland there and the one in the south, said that you got +1 against all attacks in Russia. The next 2, you didn't get +1 against all attacks in Russia. So we'll get to the next round. Okay, so funny thing happened on the way to the upload there. I finished this entire video and I stitched together everything, and then, you know, like I did all the things that I needed to do, compressing it and everything, and I started uploading it, and then, okay, I thought I'd watch it, and it was late last night, And I get to this section of the video, and it's in slow motion. Like I pushed something on my camera to make it go slow motion, so I had to cancel the upload halfway through and restart this one. So it's the next day, and I've just got a 5-6 minute section here, and then I can re-upload it again. Anyway, this one, this token here, it's this token right down here. This is called Oberfeldschlager Süd. So this is south. Now, we already did west, right? That was against the Western Allies up in the North Atlantic. And then we did east. That was against the Russians. So now this is the south, anything south of Germany. And it starts with, where are we here? Gertrude. It's the code name for the joint invasion of Turkey by Germany and Bulgaria. So the units that you get are placed in Bulgaria. You get a light tank, a mechanized, an artillery, and 2 infantry. And that's what these guys are here. Now, I assume by then that these guys here will also be German, right? And who knows, you might even have more there. Now, here's you'll also get this partisan, right? So this partisan goes over here in cars, and he follows the partisan rules. And we're going to get to those last night or later on in this video for you. And so there you go. And then you attack Turkey with that. You must attack Turkey. You can't just put them on and not do it, right? And then you get +1 attack against all Turkish units when you do attack Turkey. So that's a pretty good one. Gives you that extra way to get into Russia down here, right? Going through the Caucasus. Big money down here too. And also the Middle East. So that one would help you get through there. Then the other one here that I have set up, this one is like Fall Richard. Remember Fall Richard, where you attacked the communist units in Spain? But this one is slightly different. You'll see. So this is Operation Isabella. So it was a German plan after the collapse of the Soviet Union to secure bases in Spain and Portugal for the strangulation of Great Britain. The plan called for invasion of Spain, Portugal, Gibraltar, and forward operating bases in the Azores and Cape Verde Islands. Isabella assumed that the Spanish forces would be sympathetic to the Axis, and the invasion of Spain would only be started to help the Spaniards in case of an Allied invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. And the Iberian Peninsula is this here. It's Spain, Portugal, and Gibraltar. That's what's known as the Iberian Peninsula. So the difference in this one with Fall Richard is that they figured when they were going in that the Spanish forces, when they got there, would kind of see them as liberators, and they would embrace them, kind of thing. And so that's reflected in the rules here. So you place the units in France, and I've placed them there because that's the most likely location. The southern France, or Marseille on your map, would probably be Vichy, France, right? So you get a light tank. No, wait, that's the last one. You get a light tank, 2 infantry, and 1 tactical bomber. Now, when you attack down there, so let's say you're attacking this territory, and I don't know how many guys are going to be there, but let's say there's 3 or 4. If any one of those units, Spanish units, roll a 10 or higher, then they become German. So you just take them off the board, put a German unit on, whether it's infantry or a plane or whatever, right? That's what the sympathetic part is like they would just join you, right? So that's a way to gain some units if they're rolling bad. Anyway, there's a couple more here, but I'm just going to set them up. So hang on a sec. So there was 2 different operations that were part of Operation Theseus, and that was Rommel going after the 8th Army, right? So the first, and you wouldn't do both of them. You would choose one of them if you had the Sud token, right? If you wanted, you could also choose the other ones that I just mentioned. But the first one is Operation Hercules. So you place the units in Sicily, and they must be used to attack Malta. And but they don't attack on the German turn. What happens is they attack with the Italians. So on the Italian turn, you would use the Germans and Italians. So what you get here for this one is you get a German airborne unit. This guy was already here, okay? You get a German airborne unit, a German transport, you get Italian infantry and Italian artillery. And then you would attack down here. But you could also substitute that transport here for strategic bomber instead. That's up to you, right? You could take either the transporter or the strategic bomber. The strategic bomber is worth more, of course, and they do give the airborne, so you could fly that guy over, and then you could use an Italian transport to transport some guys. But you do have to attack Malta if you're going to go with that one, right? So that's Operation Hercules. The other one is Operation Ida, and so that's over here. So they wanted to take the Suez Canal, right? Oops. I'm setting my camera down on top of that transport it just took off. Anyway, so the other one is that they wanted to take the Suez Canal. But the problem with that was when they were attacking over here, their supplies were way back here in Tripoli, right, just about off the camera here. And so that was 1,400 miles away. So again, this is a German-Italian operation. So you would place these things on for the Germans. That's 2 light tanks and 3 mechanized infantry. So that's a pretty good buy, right? What is that, $25 or something? You get these 5 things here. But because they're so far away from supplies, you're going to have -1 attack over here. And again, like the Operation Hercules, you'll place these on as the German player, and then when the Italian turn comes around, that's when you would attack. Now, these don't have to go here. They could go in any African territory that's held by the Italians, and then you would use them in conjunction with the Italians on the Italian turn to attack whatever you wanted, right? The one way you could get around that -1 though is if the Axis had either Malta or Gibraltar. So if you had here or if you had Gibraltar over here in Axis hands, then you wouldn't get that -1 down here because theoretically you'd have an alternate route for supplies, right? So anyway, that's the Sud token, and I'm not going to say the first word, but anyway, that's the Sud token. Now I can upload this thing. So that's it for me here. Okay, so the next token is Abwehr, I believe it's pronounced. ABWEHR. So that's this red token right here. Now the difference between this token and the other ones that I've showed you so far is that you were able to choose one of the war plans, right? You could one of the whatever they were, raids, or like you get units and stuff. With this token, you get to choose 2 off of the list, and there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3. There's 6 things on this list. So you wouldn't have to do them right away. Like you could hang on to that token until you've used 2 of the actions, and you'll see why. Like for instance, the first one here is the Gran Sasso raid, Operation Aish. It was the rescue of the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini by German paratroopers and Waffen SS commandos in September of 1943. So with this, you use any time Rome is captured. Italy does not surrender or surrender IPP until all Italian units are removed from the game or Germany surrenders. New capital can be any Italian or German territory. So that's a big one, right? Like normally when Rome falls, then you take all the Italian units off the board and that's it, right? Like Italy's out of the game, unless Rome, like Germany, comes down and takes Rome back, right? Then the Italians could come back in. But if you had, like I would have, if it was me and Italy was under any threat whatsoever, even the hint of a threat, I'd probably use this token for one of the other actions, and then I would hang on to it just in case Italy fell between the time I got it and the end of the game, because that's a big deal, right? Like you would still have Italy as an ally, or at the very least you would still have their units on the board, however many that is. It could be boats, could be ground units, or whatever, right? And then you would just establish the Italian capital in another place that is not a threat. Like you could put it up here in Germany, for instance, instead of one of the Italian territories, right? That would make it a little bit safer. So that's one of the things that you could use it for. Another one, let's just move this over here, okay? So we'll just look, there's actually two of them here, so I'll set it up right there. So Sheikh Mahmoud was an attempt to establish bases in Iraq. So place 3 German partisans in Iraq, follow partisan rules. Germany draws Iraq's income and bonus income until eliminated. And then the other one is right here in Tehran. So these are the ones in Iraq, right? And these are the ones in Iran. And that's also placed 3 German partisans in Tehran. Now mine doesn't say Tehran. They've taken the city names off of the map on this one, unless it's actual city, like it's got a circle around it. So this one's just called Northern Iran, not Tehran. But anyway, on the map that you have right now, the version 2 map, it would be in Tehran. You put 3 German partisans there. You follow the partisan rules, and then Germany draws Iran's income until eliminated. So that's the income from this territory and this territory. Unless somebody else were to take one of these territories, then you would only get the income from the other one, right? Just as a reminder, though, because we're getting into partisans more and more now, just to show you what partisans is. So this is the page they give you on partisans. It talks about partisan generation, what they are, like the 0 attack, 1 defense, no move, and they don't cost anything. So they can't capture a territory, but you can prohibit tracing a supply path or strategic rail movement just by having a partisan in a territory. The opposing units may only roll 1 attack against a partisan unit. Failure results in both units occupying the same territory. Partisans reduce income to 0 for the territory that they're in, like that they contest, right? And then transformation. This is a big thing. Like with this one here, you've got more than 1 partisan there. So you could actually trade in 2 partisans for 1 militia. So in that you could, like if this was an empty territory and you traded in 2 partisans for a militia, then you would take that territory. But because a militia doesn't attack anything, it wouldn't do you any good in this case, because the militia can't attack, right? And so he wouldn't be able to attack this guy. So you better off leave him as partisans. And then there's more actions, and they talk about them here. But I've already got, like I've got a chart here from the partisan rules. So if you just take a quick look here, these are the things, the actions that you can do for partisans, right? Like you could create another partisan, you could damage infrastructure, eliminate a resource, you could receive supplies, and invasion support. You could add +1 to invading land units attack, right? So there's a few different things that you could do with partisans, whether they're in Iraq or in Iran or whatever. So those are the first, those are the next 2. Sorry, the first one was the Mussolini saving his ass. So then the next one is Operation Bajadar, and that's place 3 German partisans in New Delhi and follow partisan units. So New Delhi is right here, and like I said, if it's not a city anymore, like if it's not got a circle, then this would be the New Delhi territory here, though. So you can put 3 partisans here, and this one you don't collect the income because you're in the FEC now. So you're not going to collect the FEC's income. You're just going to put 3 partisans there, and you're going to follow partisan actions. Now, because that is worth $1. So like in this case here, without any British units in there, you might decide to cash in 2 of your partisans for a militia so that you could collect that $1, right? And then you would still have a partisan there. So, that might be something to think about. The next one would be, I can't even pronounce that one. So this one is, let me just pause this. The next couple are on the other side of the board. Okay, the next thing that you could do would be to put 3 partisans in Scotland here. And remember, it doesn't matter what's in Scotland. The British could have 10 units in Scotland. It doesn't matter. You can still place the partisans there, right? But you wouldn't collect any income or anything. You would just follow the partisan rules. But again, this one's worth 1 IPC, and there's nobody else in there, so you could make 2 of these partisans into 1 militia if you wanted. That's one of the actions you could take. And then this would be, that would become German then, right? Scotland would. And it's tough to take too because it's mountain territory. But whatever, you know, like you got to just go with whatever the situation is. So there's that one. And then there's the last one. Let me just move this down over here, okay? I've moved some of the Russian units out because making this video here. But the last one is you get 6 partisans. So you, and I know the set only contains 5. So I'm not sure if maybe if there's a typo on there or what. But it says you get 6 partisans, and you get to put them in any number of Soviet territories and then follow partisan rules. So like Scotland and New Delhi, you wouldn't collect any income or anything unless you were to somehow take the income by doing by converting them into militia. But you could take, for instance, 3 Russian territories and do that with like you could put 2 here because that's worth $1, right? Find another one here, like this one would have Russian guys on it. I've just moved them for now. Here's another one, Urals. You could put 2 there if you want, or you could just put 1 in each territory. You know, like just put them way out there. You know what I mean? So another good thing would be to put them on rail lines to just to disrupt the rail movement back and forth, and say any Lend-Lease that might be coming from America. Like if you see the American player and he's been Lend-Leasing to the Russians, and then they're trying to get it across here all the way to the Eastern Front, then a good place to put these partisans would be on that rail line, right? So whatever, you know, like that. There's those things there. And remember with this one, you get to hang on to that token until you've used it twice. You get to pick 2 of these actions. So 5 of them have partisans, and 1 of them is about saving Mussolini there. Okay, so we just got 1 more token. Actually, there's 2 tokens left, but really only 1. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so the next one is a pretty cool token, and it has to do with technology. So here's the token here. It's Wunderwaffe. That's the name of the token. Now, there's let me see, 1, 2, 3. 4 things on here, but they're actually pretty good. So first one is, it completes one of the following research paths. So advanced submarines or strategic rockets. So here we go, there's advanced submarines and strategic rockets. So if neither one of these are complete, then you could say, okay, I'll take advanced submarines, and there you go. Now you have advanced submarines and you've used that token, right? Or you could do strategic rockets. Now, if one of these is already done, if you've already finished this and then you get that token, then what you can do, this is pretty neat, is either one of those is fine too. Then you get to launch rockets, you know, the technology rockets, right? You get to launch these strategic rockets from submarines. So any submarine on the board, you can launch rockets, and it's the same rules as rockets. Like it goes 3 spaces, and you know, like it does damage to facilities and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so the next one is called Missile or Mistletoe. It was the larger unmanned component of composite aircraft configuration. So long story short, basically, is you get this token here. It's the KG-200 token, and what that is, you get to put that underneath a fighter, and then it has the attack capability of a medium bomber. So that would make it so that your fighter could attack. Here, let me just take this away from there now, and bring it over here, and tip it down. So a fighter that you have now could now attack facilities, so it could go after complexes or bases, naval or air bases, right? Also, remember a medium bomber, when it's going after naval units, it's target selection of 1 to 3, right? So that's cool too. Now, it doesn't turn a fighter into a medium bomber though. It just gives it the attack capabilities, which is better than the attack capabilities of a fighter, right? And so the defense and the ranges are still the same as a fighter. So rather than defending at, what is it, 4 or 5 for a medium bomber, it still defends at 6 because it's a fighter, but it only has the range of 4. So it doesn't take the range of the medium bomber, it keeps the range of the fighter. Now what you'll do, here I'll just move this back here, what you'll do is you'll just put the fighter on top of that token, right? And so for the rest of the game, as long as this fighter is alive, he gets to attack like a medium bomber, defend like a fighter, and fly like a fighter, put it that way. And if it's destroyed, it can be transferred to another fighter. So let's say this fighter gets shot down, that's fine. Then you just put another fighter on that token, if you want. I mean, why wouldn't you want to, right? It makes it more powerful, right? So there you go. Like he could bomb factories, and he's got the target selection now, and he shoots at 7 instead of 6 on attack, right? But still 6 on defense. So the next one, that's a good one though, right? The next one is Operation Caesar. So it was a secret mission carried out to supply Japan with advanced technology to fuel their war machine. So what you would do is provide Japan any technology that is completed by Germany. Now that doesn't mean like if Germany's got 6 technologies that you would give Japan 6 technologies. You would just pick one. Like say Germany has a bunch of them, but one of them is long-range aircraft, and Japan could really use long-range aircraft, then you would provide them with that one, right? Like whatever one's going to be more useful to the Japanese here, that's what you would do. But you can't just give it to them. You have to Lend-Lease supply path, and it's subject to interdiction and blockade. So the supply path, like you would have to be able to get through, you know, the canal over here or the Suez Canal over here. Like somehow you have to get that technology from Germany, some kind of base in Germany, naval or some kind of naval base, right? Like whether it's a port or a dockyard or a shipyard. In this game, like in your game, it's just a naval base or a shipyard, and you have to get it around over here to Japan and watch out for interdiction, right? And remember, you have to go the shortest route that you can, but you can go either way. Like you could go this way here, or you could go that way over there. It's got to be the shortest route you can do either way. And so you would be able to get Japan one of those technologies. And then so that's the German turn. Once the Japanese turn comes, Japan's already got that technology, so they can already employ that technology. Like if you gave them, say, heavy bombers, they can buy heavy bombers that turn. They don't have to wait a turn or whatever. As soon as Japan turn starts, they've already got the technology. And the last one is Wunderwaffe. So German miracle weapons advances technology to full implementation. A prototype of that weapon begins the turn in any territory with a factory. So you complete any technology track that has already been started. The units are immediately available for purchase. Okay, so let's just take a look over here. Now, I don't have my stick, but that's okay. So these ones are already started, right? And like you could have the wartime economy started here. Let's say you also had heavy bombers here. Now you could choose to move any of these ones along to the end. So you could say, you know what, I like heavy armor. I'm going to move heavy armor all the way to the end over there. Just one. You can only do one. And it could be any one you want, right? And then when you do, there's a chart here. So you look here. Let me try to get it where there's no glare. Okay, this way here. Okay. So when you do, you get these units for free, okay? So if you decided to finish advanced artillery, you get 3 advanced artillery. Plus you get to purchase advanced artillery this turn. Like this happens on your purchase units phase where you're drawing the marker, right? So if you decided to take, if you got this marker, decided to do this plan, you would get to build advanced artillery besides getting these 3 free ones here. The advanced mechanized, you'd get 3 of those. If you got the heavy tanks like I showed you there, you would get 2 heavy tanks. There would be 1 jet aircraft, 1 heavy strategic bomber, 1 fighter for long-range aircraft, 2 advanced submarines, 2 destroyers for advanced submarine warfare, 2 facilities for strategic rockets, 2 radars for advanced radar, 4d6 this turn only if you took wartime economy. So you would get 4d6 of income. I mean, that can turn out great, but it could also turn out shitty, right? Like you might only get $5 out of it. Unlikely, but you might. Improve factory, so you get 1 minor factory. Improve shipyard, you get 2 free transports. And then you would have that technology after that, the improved factories, the improved shipyards. The wartime economy, you would still have wartime economy, but this turn you would roll 4d6 instead of 2d6. And so that's all of the weapons here. Here, I'm just going to keep this over here because I want to show you something here. So that's the end of it there. That's the last German operation that's on there. I just wanted to show you what else is here. It was 6 pages of me going through showing you what to do, so that's a lot to skip through, you know, like going flying through there trying to figure out which one you want, you know. But there is a table here, so it starts here. So there's the Kriegsmarine, and then the West, and it shows you those ones. And then on the other side there's these ones, right? So these are all the ones that I've talked about. These are all the weapons, or the operations, sorry, that I talked about. And it gives you, you know, whatever the advantage was. Okay, so you get a light tank and artillery, 3 infantry, plus 1 attack. You know what I mean? It just kind of summarizes it. So you think, oh, that one looks good. So maybe then you flip through the book and see exactly what that was. But this is just a quick reminder, you know what I mean? So you don't have to flip through every time. You can, if you played this with German operations 2 or 3 times before, then looking at that would probably suffice, right? You wouldn't have to flip through the book. You just remember, oh yeah, that one, I like that one. So you just grab that one and away you go, right? Anyway, that's it. That's German operations. So looks like a good set, I think. And like it's only, what is it, $7 or $8? So it's a real cheap one because as you've seen, it's only 5 partisans and what is it, 7 markers. So, you know, like there wasn't a lot there. So it's not one of those, you know, $40 sets that is going to break the bank on you if you don't have a bunch of extra cash right now. It's just one of those things you can grab that and a few other markers or whatever, and that's still affordable. You know what I mean? I know, because I buy stuff off of Doug all the time. So anyway, I like this set. I think the next time I play Germany, I think I'm going to try it but like I said in the beginning, though, I think though you're going to have to wait until the Soviet one comes out before you do it unlimited. Like here, you could just pay $15 every single turn after 1938 or in 1938 and later, and get all these great advantages every single turn. That doesn't seem fair to the Comintern and to the Allies. Like there's not enough to balance that out. So you might want to say, okay, you only get to do it 3 times a game or something like that, and then, you know, give the other guys some kind of some type of advantage. One of the expansion sets that help them out, you know what I mean? Like Russian super weapons or guards, you know, just anything, right? We leave the Soviet Union. And, you know, like throw in something for the Allies as well, just to kind of balance that out until the other operations for the other 2 factions are out. And then just go nuts. But it's up to you too. I mean, you don't have to tell your friends that. You could just play Germany and say, I'm doing this. See how that works out for you. Anyway, so thanks to Bob Hatcher. This is a great set. I can't wait to do the East-West. That's going to be a good set too. It looks fantastic. So that's something I'm going to be doing this fall and early winter. And also another guy, Elijah, he's got a special operations set. I think I'm probably going to get to that one next. That'll probably be the next expansion set that I do, because those are the only 2 I think that I need to do unless Doug puts out another one. So that's it for me in the War Room in Prince George, British Columbia. Take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.